There was this education reform conference, and I and several other legislators attended it up in northern Minnesota, where Al Shanker, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, spoke. He was the first person who mentioned charter schools that I had ever heard. And I'll never forget sitting down at dinner one night at that conference after hearing the word charter schools and starting to think, what would a charter school look like if we were to draw it up? This should be their autonomy, independence, and how do we do that? Charter schools were born on a napkin. This chamber brings back a lot of memories. The Republicans, for sure, were helping us. The Democrats were concerned because of the opposition of the teachers' unions.
I'm not sure if everybody understands just how much courage it took to support such an unpopular idea.
It was not an indictment of what public schools were doing. It was an opportunity to help them to do more.
The students that we worked with told us they wanted someplace small where they could start where they left off and focus on where they wanted to go in life.
And I know that in 1989 she was bitterly disappointed when the Senate passed the charter school bill in Minnesota, her bill, but the House would not take action on it, and they couldn't get anywhere in conference committee.
Finally, I had to make a decision about whether to accept the compromise or come back next year. I thought that the compromise that they were suggesting would mean that there would never ever be a charter school in Minnesota or anywhere else. And so when the vote came down to send the bill back to conference to take it out, it was the difference of 2 votes that saved charter schools.
She's persistent. She doesn't give up.
It took 3 to 4 years, actually till 1991, before we were able to actually pass charter school legislation into law.
And so she was back again in 92 and 93 and 94 and 95 and 96, and every year making improvements to strengthen that law. And I must say that how it emerged here in Minnesota had a big impact on the marketability of this idea across the country.
Governor Bill Clinton saw it as an opportunity and immediately talked about it as chair of the Democratic Leadership Council. He talked about it in his presidential campaign. I have to tell you, I fell off my chair when he mentioned it in a presidential debate, but he did. This small bit of legislation that grew from parents and teachers and urban communities and the business community here now was being talked about around the country.
Behind every one of these laws are legislators and governors and other state policy leaders that contributed the idea and the political muscle to make it possible for these schools to even exist.
So for somebody to take an idea, work with people on that idea, and then create a whole new delivery system for educating, that's pretty remarkable.